Yes,
we're back.
We're back finally, and the way we're gonna do this now is because we're quite busy with schoolwork and everything.
We're now at different schools as well.
Yeah. There's distance involved. It's not going to be fortnightly. We'll keep the title just because it's quite catchy. Yeah. But we're gonna go. We just sort of do it every holiday.
Every holiday. So, get a good broad range of films that's come out over the period. Let's say.
So this is the New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy 2017.
Yeah.
Here's to a good one, hopefully.
It's been a very good year, I have to admit, for a 2016 film. I mean, although politically we can all say it's not really best.
It's been a bit mad.
I think for film, we leave the blockbusters out, to be honest. But I mean, for overall, it's been a very good year for independent film. So I mean, I've been very happy because I have seen a lot of films this year. I might have broken the bank halfway through that whole year, but I have seen a lot of films, and I'm very happy to say that. I mean, it has been a good year for cinema overall.
I think we've. We were doing the podcast at the start of this year, and we've covered quite a few films. But I think it's good to catch up at the end and just sort of talk about what are our favourites and what we've seen recently.
So what are we talking about today, Caleb?
Well, first of all, we'll be talking about Rogue One, which is how we started this podcast a year ago today.
Where we did Force Awakens, and now we're following the trend. We're talking Rogue One, a Star Wars story, the anthology film in this Star Wars series. We hope. I'm not saying like this is going to be a bad review, but you'll hear what I mean by my thoughts. Overall.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about A Monster Calls,
which has just come out today.
Yeah, it's.
By the time you've heard this, it's New Year's Day today.
Yeah.
So we're recording this on the 1st of January 2017, and The Monster Calls came out today, along with Assassin's Creed, which I hopefully may see some time. Yeah. But we're talking A Monster Calls as well, which we saw today in cinemas.
And then we're going to talk about Passengers.
Theo talking about Passengers, the new Morton Tilden film with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt on a spaceship.
Yes.
What's it going to be like?
Who knows? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then finally, we're just going to talk a bit about the films of 2016. I'll do my recommendations.
And I'll do my top 5 films of 2016.
Yeah. And then, that's pretty much the show for today. And we're going to start with Rogue One.
So, Rogue One. A Star Wars story, the anthology film to Rogue One. Before we start, this is going to be a spoiler review because by now, when
it's been out long enough.
It's been out long enough. I mean,
it's a Star Wars film.
It's a Star Wars film. It's going to be a spoiler review. So one of the interesting things with Rogue One was that I've been a fan of Star Wars for a very long time. Force Awakens came out last year. I absolutely loved Force Awakens. I lauded it over this program. I mean, I thought it was the best film of 2015, ironically.
Yeah.
But so going to Rogue One, everyone kind of knew it was going to be a different film. It could be a war star film. Gareth Edwards directing it. That's a bit of hope in it. So before we get to it, let's talk about the story. So the story of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, basically is that the crawl at the start of A New Hope.
Yeah.
There's this part in the crawl where it says Rebel fighters caught the Death Star plans. That is basically the plot. The plot of the story is it's how the rebels got the Death Star plans, which leads into Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And the character we followed, Jyn Erso, who is this rebellious character played by Felicity Jones, who's having an absolutely fantastic week in cinema, including with Monster Calls, which we'll talk about later.
Doing well recently.
We follow the story of Jyn Erso as she builds this team, this rebellion together to go out and capture the Death Star plans. And also including the cast of Diego Luna, who plays as Cassian Andor, Ben Mendelsohn as Orson Krennic, Donnie Yen as Chirrut Imwe, Mads Mikkelsen, who this year played in Doctor Strange this year,
Hannibal,
Riz Ahmed, maybe Nightcrawler, and also including as well, we all know Darth Vader, which also starred.
Yeah, that was quite exciting.
Yeah, in this film, but we will get to that later. So that to be honest, that's most of the plot. So the plot is basically they try to get sort of rebellions, Death Star plans. They go after the Death Star plans. That's the story. So I went into this thinking, because of the absolute wonder of the real charm of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
This film is kind of get a bit more darker, and one of the things I really enjoyed. So there's a number of things about this one. So the first I'm going to say, I liked it. I didn't love it. Now that's Now, there's some good things about this film. There's some really great stuff, but there's also a bit of problems in this film, which doesn't, for me, kind of prove the universal praise that this film's been getting. Right? It's like 85% Rotten Tomatoes. So the first thing, the opening crawl of this film. One of the great things about the start of this film is that it goes. One thing I kind of like was that a long time ago, the galaxy far away. We see it, and then bang. We see the shot of the planet, and we're already in the film straight away. And that's a really...
Yeah, it does get started really quickly, which I really like.
Which I thought was fantastic. Yeah. Really, you're in the film straight away, and you meet Mads Mikkelsen, and the camera is kind of really swooping around. And you kind of see that they've got a lot of money put into this. Craig Fraser did the cinematography in this film, and he really gets that... It is a bit dark. I mean, we saw it in 3D, and I have to admit, it was a bit too dark for my liking. But it does, from the moment it starts, it's already a different film than the originals, which I kind of like.
Yeah, I do like that. I think I like that. I think it was probably in the soundtrack actually, Michael Giacchino. There's sort of the essence of Star Wars, but there was definitely something different going. Yeah, new. It's
not
on.
The John Williams kind of like the real heroic kind of swashbuckling feel usually.
Yeah.
Then we get into the characters. Now, I think for me, I thought Fish Jones is terrific. The characters, there's some good characters. I think there are a bit of problems with characters, but one thing to say, Fish Jones, she's fantastic in this film. She's kind of a bit badass in a way, and it is great to see a British actor, yet again leading an American franchise. Yeah. We have Daisy Ridley as well, who I have to admit was a bit like just out of acting school in Force Awakens. Now we have Felicity Jones. So
I think just one little thing, but I think with Felicity Jones, my main problem with her is she's definitely capable of some really good acting, like as we saw in Monster Calls today, but with that later. Yeah, but I just feel like I just didn't really connect with her, and I don't know if that was to do with the writing or her acting.
But or the story.
Yeah, maybe the story. But I think she was more a catalyst for sort of the cause of the of the alliance.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So including everyone, so we have Fish Jones great. I think Diego Luna is fantastic. Ben Mendelsohn is also good, interesting villain there as well. But one thing, it is great to see a diverse cast. We've got Mexicans, we've got African Americans, we've got British, white American. It's a really fantastic diverse cast, and it's great to see it in this film.
Yeah.
Also, the visual effects are also very, very top quality. Industrial Light and Magic did the visual effects. And one thing I found really interesting about the visual effects was that it was original versus modern. It's how they got the visual effects and it kind of made it more modern. And you could really see the start, because in Star Wars: A New Hope, when you see like the TIE fighter attacks in a way, the TIE fighters, it's very much close up, but you don't really see like a lot of the TIE fighters. So it's very much like one TIE fighter maybe panning up, or the camera panning down. So it's very very much very like stock, very straightforward kind of cut editing, like very very economic directing from George Lucas, and that's one of the things interesting about it. But now when we got modern visual effects, you see loads of TIE fighters. The camera is just swirling and swooping, and one of the things that I thought was a real strength to it was the visual effects.
Yeah.
Because that space battle near the end of the film, it's just the best. My favourite shot in the film mostly was when the TIE fighters all come out of the gate, and it's like, wow, it's like this is how technology's kind of moved on, and wow, imagine if Star Wars: A New Hope was like this.
Well,
and you kind of come out of it.
I suppose they had a far bigger budget for this one as well.
Yes, you did. The budget is about $200 million, which is a bit, I think, it's about $106 million less than Force Awakens, interesting enough. So not a lot, but still, lot big visual effects. And I think one of the things, when I came out of the film, we all had a chat, I said, now imagine now if they did the space battles, they redid all the space battles from Return of the Jedi and put it like Rogue One. Yeah. How excited would each one be? Because it's just really like, real swashbuckling, it's real edge of your seat stuff. And also what I think, for me, was the director Gareth Edwards. There were moments in the film where it is a Gareth Edwards film. I mean, I really liked his previous film, Godzilla.
Yeah.
Because Godzilla was a simple monster film, and it was more about the characters than the monster himself. And he started doing monsters that really quite stripped down, cheap monster movie, and really terrific, very interesting characters, and it's a very quite economic filmmaking, and it is fantastic. Gareth Edwards, yet again, another British director leading a big American franchise, and there are moments where you do see Gareth Edwards' thumbprint printed over it. Sometimes like some of the character conversations and the way how kind of a story kind of relinks together. Same way as Godzilla did with its time.
I haven't seen
changes.
Godzilla. So
Yeah,
it's
but
interesting
Godzilla is a film.
Your viewpoint.
So
on that.
those are the positives of my film. Now there are problems with the film, and for me, one of the things is it is the story in a way. Now the first half of the story, I do admit, it is a bit long. The first 3 minutes of that prologue, we then take a lot.
Starts to slow down a bit.
It starts to slow down, and it kind of like gets into a bit more like plot exposition, and it is, as many kind of critics kind of say nowadays, people walking around and explaining the plot, or people walking around explaining the story. But
I think you need that build up as well to make some sort of emotional connection with the characters. But I do get what you mean. Yeah, and for a Star Wars film, it's quite slow, but they're definitely going for that. I think.
And also there are some fantastic, interesting ideas in the story. But I think one of the problems is that it is a bit long, the first opening bit. And when we get to the third act, it's like the film just kind of picks itself up a bit, and it's like someone's on a piggyback ride, and it's just piggybacking all the way at the end. So it's like it's like a child like dragging them through the mud like on a long walk. And at the end, like the dad picks them up and they run along. It's kind of that pace.
Yeah,
it's quite slow. Moves along right near the end of the film. Character development for me, because of the way the story is set out and the way how you know the story is going to end. In the kind of the predictable nature of the story, the characters are a bit unfleshed out. They're not fleshed out as normal Star Wars. But that's not that's not like their fault, because it is the way how the story is made out. And we kind of know the inevitability of the end or the outcome of the movie, and it does mean I think that's one, like you said with Felicity Jones, and we don't really feel a lot of emotion for her. And I do admit at times she does get a bit sidelined a bit. Yeah. Although she's like on the poster right at the front, it's Felicity Jones. But
I'd argue that she's probably the least memorable character out of all of them, which is pretty harsh. But like I just wasn't a fan of how they wrote. I think it's how they wrote her.
Already hitting down already.
Yeah,
and so the character development is a bit and also people like Cassian. I don't think as well. I thought Ben Mendelsohn, though, bit pantomime villain. It's not a memorable villain for me.
Yeah,
and that's one because when Darth Vader shows up, I do admit the Darth Vader, the best line of the film without that is "You may choke. You do not choke on your aspirations."
Oh, so it's I love that bit so much.
Oh,
that was so
my goodness me!
It was one of Darth Vader's best lines.
It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. I'm Mr. Freeze. Never put me in the cooler. It's real like Schwarzenegger-esque with the line there, and that's one of the problems with Krennic, because we have Darth Vader and because we have these characters.
Yeah.
It's very hard for Krennic to make him a fully fleshed out villain and a very depth villain. And also, I don't get the idea that everyone's saying, it's complex characters and a complex story. In the end, it is good v bad. Yes, maybe, Jega Luna's character, Cassian, will shoot somebody.
Yeah.
And people will go, oh, why'd you do that? He's a good guy. But then
I do like the fact that there was some, with Diego Luna's character, there was kind of, a moral grey area with him. And all the other characters as well. Like it was more interesting than the Star Wars film in that regard, because you know who to root for. Like obviously we knew who to root for in Rogue One, but obviously they were trying to
make it different.
And
I think I think because it's trying to make complex, it is basically bogged down in the end, and you cut all the fat around. It is basically good, bad. It's simple. Yeah. Then we have the ending. Now, for me, the way how this ending felt, it felt like a chess person resetting the board for another chess match. Yeah. It was kind of like they didn't know what they had to do, and so they literally went, "Oh God, I need to put these pieces down. I need to put this piece. I need to put the pawn there. I need to put the bishop. I need to put the king there. Jen needs to be there. Leia's got to go there. Oh look, and the problem is, for me, it just slots together. Everyone say, "Oh, it slots together perfectly. That's fantastic for the film." Yes, you can make that adjustment. It does slot together perfectly. But for me, it's just too perfect the way it slots. I know that's a bit strange criticism, but it is strange criticism in the manner that because it slots together too perfectly, it just feels a bit coincidental. It doesn't feel like
it is literally in the last minute, and I think that's what. I think if they gave a bit of time just to recreate those scenes a bit, maybe they'd have more of an intro. I quite like the fact that it the fourth film starts straight off the bat of Rogue One.
And so what happens is that because after it's like we've got a Death Star planet, and then it's literally in 1 minute they go Darth Vader, bang 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 bang, Tantina, boom, Leia, ooh, what is it? What do we have, Leia? Hope, boom, episode 4. It's like someone's gone now we can breathe with now we can now calm down because we've managed to find, and it just feels a bit rushed in that link. And I think one of the ways it had to come down to, as many people may know, it's the reshoots, because the film was reshot. We know Tony Gilroy did the reshoots, interestingly enough. Yeah. And so with the reshoots, you can see from the trailers, and loads of magazines, loads of websites have pointed this out, that there are some shots which have changed. So, for example, the scene when Jyn Erso is walking on the balcony, and all of a sudden she sees a TIE fighter loom up above the camera, and it's like, what? It's like, it's like Star Wars nerdgasm all of a sudden. I know it's weird. It is. It's a bit like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like you're so hyped for the film, but then that scene's not there, and so it feels like, oh.
I avoided the trailers for this film.
Yes, you did.
So I didn't. I think I saw the first trailer.
Congratulations.
And then I kind of like. So I think that is part of my enjoyment, is that I didn't see any of the trailers, because I love the Force Awakens trailers, because I think they did a great job of hiding everything, but I just didn't think they'd do the same with Rogue One, so I just avoided them.
So that's really, so one thing, the reshoots, that you can see difference between the reshoot and the reshoot. It's between the original and the final version we got.
Yeah.
I hope with a Blu-ray, or maybe like a collector's edition, they put in the reshoot. No, not reshoots, the original footage in, because it looks quite exciting, like, Jyn Erso running along the Death Star plans, rather than because the thing is, that's one of the problems, it feels a bit rushed, that ending did, and so you can see the reshoots may have had a bit of I don't know how to say it. The reshoots may have had some understanding of how this film may have ended, or how the directing happened, because and that may come down to director as well. At times, it doesn't feel like although I say it's a Gareth Edwards film, it doesn't feel like a Gareth Edwards film. It feels a bit like a studio film in a way, and that did feel a bit heartbreaking as well in the manner.
Well, I suppose he is trying to. It's hard because we've got Rian Johnson directing the next Star Wars film, and he's a very stylistic director, so it's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not he goes with his style, or he peppers it around the film, or he just makes a Star Wars.
Makes a Star Wars film.
Yeah,
and so
because Star Wars has its own style, so the directors need to either conform or have their own thing going.
Yeah, I do agree. With the fact that we don't know where Rian Johnson's going to go with that, or maybe same thing, Colin Trevorrow. We don't know what he's going to do, as he did a very good job with Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Now, so overall, what I think of Rogue One. Like I said, I liked it. I didn't love the film. I may have to watch it again when it comes out on Blu-ray to maybe see if my views change, because maybe I didn't take a lot of interest in the film, because one thing is a guy kept kicking my chair a lot, and I was a bit I didn't turn round, and so I was a bit stupid at saying that.
Yeah.
And so maybe my views may change, but like I said, I like I think some of the characters are good. The visual effects are fantastic. The director's intents are there sometimes. The opening crawl's fantastic, but yet again, it is that character, that story, that ending, and those reshoots that do kind of bring the film down. So overall, with new ratings, so I'm going to give a rating score here out of 5 with decimal points.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 3.7 out of 5. That may be me being very harsh.
It's quite specific.
Very specific, but it's not like 3.5. It's a bit high. It's a bit up to 4, but it's not quite over 4 stars yet. I would give around about 3-ish, about between 3 and 4 stars.
For me, I reckon I'd give it a 4. I think it was really world expanding, because Star Wars is essentially about Skywalkers most of the time for me, and I like the fact that that's not the main focus of it anymore. And there's like a new focus, and it's a bigger film. And I like, and the characters. Final thing, characters are some of the strongest in the Star Wars universe for me. Yeah, and so hopefully next year we don't get the predictable oh Rey, I am your daughter, because there could be something like. But I think but it is great to see stars back on the screen, and at 3.7 out of 5 for me, that was the review for Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Now, this is the film that just came out today.
to be honest, I haven't read like stuff about it. Kevin knows more about this film more than I do. This is the review for Film Account Day Newsday, A Monster Calls.
So, just before we get into reviewing, it was originally a book, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the book. So the book was written by Patrick Ness, based on an idea by Siobhan Dowd, who at the time was struggling with cancer. So this film is a lot about cancer and death, and it's unfortunate she died before she could write the book though. But obviously she came up with this idea and she was going to write it with Patrick Ness, who's behind the Chaos Walking trilogy and other books like that. But I'm really glad that Patrick Ness wrote the book, and I was really sceptical because when I read this book it was really raw and emotional, and it it was really honest about death, and it had like Siobhan Dowd, this was her swan song, as it were. And
so, what is the story of A Monster Calls?
Well, in A Monster Calls, basically we meet this boy. What's his name again?
Connor O'Malley.
Yeah, that's it. Connor O'Malley. It's repeated so many times in the film. And anyway, his mum is struggling with cancer, although it's not ever really explicitly stated. You can
fill in the gaps.
Deduct. Yeah. So, but so she's struggling with cancer, and it's just really about this boy coming to terms with his mother's cancer and how that affects her, and the eventual ending. But through this, the way it's explored is far more interesting than it sounds. It's through visions of a tree that comes to life and tells...
Played by Liam Neeson.
Yes,
who will find you and who will kill you.
Yes. And so, Liam Neeson, playing the tree, comes and... comes every night at 12:07 and tells stories to this boy that have some relation to the real world and are unpredictable and interesting. And I was really sceptical about this film because what I didn't want from the film was to have a...
Fault in Our Stars.
Yeah, Fault in Our Stars is sort of adaptation of a book that was not genuine, is manufactured to pull on your heartstrings, and also visually I wanted it to be good as well, because the book throughout has these beautiful illustrations, and I wanted it to stay true to that in some way. And going into the film, I was really sceptical, and I was really pleasantly surprised actually.
I thought it was absolutely wonderful.
Because from the trailers, I couldn't tell whether or not it was going to be good.
I think from the trailers, we saw this together today. From the trailers, it was kind of like it had this soundtrack. And it's kind of this, it's a film of the year. Yeah. It is the feel, and it's kind of like all these images blocked.
It puts you off a bit.
It kind of makes it seem like a good rollicking fantasy adventure ride.
BFG.
But BFG, yes. Yeah. I know elements of the Bee Gees film, which I'll get into once you get your verdict. Yeah. But it isn't the film you think it's going to be, as you continue.
So anyway, I think one thing that really stood out to me when watching it was the screenplay, which was written by Patrick Ness as well. So I was really pleased to hear that he was writing for it, because I think if it was just written by, somebody we didn't know, the studio at the helm, I think it would have been really, I just don't think it would have worked in the same way, because Patrick Ness, he knew Siobhan Dowd, he lost her, so he knew where she was coming from with this story, and he adapted it into a really believable and really honest film, and it felt really genuine. Yeah. And that was the best thing.
I think one of the things to say, the director was J.A. Bayona, and if not people know, J.A. Bayona, he's done a lot of film with kid actors, and he did a film called The Orphanage, his first film, which was kind of a bit Guillermo del Toro-esque. Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it, but through this to some critics, they kind of say it's a bit Guillermo del Toro-y. Yeah. And that in a way is a bit Pan's Labyrinth as well. Yeah. And then he did a film called The Impossible, which is about the tsunami attack, which also I haven't seen. And then he made this. I think, for me, sorry of interrupting you here, but I have to say the element, I think for me, there are elements of Pan's Labyrinth, and there are elements of BFG. I mean, there is no way going about it. There are those comparisons there. Like, Pan's Labyrinth is the idea about a fawn, this is about a tree in a way, and they're both kind of like guardians in the fact that they are companions. Also, the BFG, when we see the tree for the first time, he comes out in this really kind of, I think it's a very creepy scene as well. And for a 12A, it's really... I mean, he comes out and he lifts his hand up and he takes him out. And that really is very similar to Sophie, you know, taking... You know, BFG taking hand and taking Sophie out. So there are elements of the BFG in this film.
Yeah, I think it's a really great modern fairy tale. So it did really remind me of Pan's Labyrinth. Especially, I just made the connection now, especially with that sort of looking into a world with vast history. Because in these stories he's talking about... You know how he's been there for thousands
beautiful
of years.
Animation.
Yeah, it's all told. All the stories are told with this beautiful animation that stays really true to the book. It looks beautiful and
it's very much the first story.
It reminded me of in Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yes, that's the thing. It definitely has Part 1.
I think they might have been involved in that.
Yes, they might. But one of the things
the same people.
I did go as comparison, but I think as well. For example, the first story there is the first story is very much like this painted these blotches, and it's just kind of like it's like made out of paper in a way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's like written handwriting. The second one's like origami-esque in a way.
Yeah.
Which I think is fantastic.
Final thing I wanted to talk about Monster Calls is just the great performances. I think it was an all-round, a brilliant performance from the whole cast.
Lewis.
I think particularly Lewis McDougall, the child actor, he did such a great job, and I was like, I think child actors do get a lot of criticism, yeah, because I think it is hard to pick out a child actor and then direct them properly.
And I think,
I think they really, I think the director did a really great job of, creating a really believable character, and he was a likable character as well.
Yes,
like, you actually liked him. And I really liked Felicity Jones in this. I think she delivered some really emotional moments. She almost made me cry multiple times. So I think
the whole cinema was in tears.
Yeah, I think
I shed a tear as well.
Yeah, I think she did a really great job, and it was a completely different performance from Rogue One, where it was quite a cold delivery. I think. But now it's very emotional,
very real.
Yeah, very real. That's basic. Like, all I want to say is. As I've said before, great modern fairy tale. It confronts death head on in a mature and imaginative setting.
Yes.
Suitable for older children and adults alike. I think the whole family will like it.
Whole family.
Yeah. Well, maybe not younger kids. I don't think they understand.
I think. So my points. I think for me, we talk about the themes of it. It is. I think exactly what you said. It's really incredible how much because the thing is with Jerry Buono. No one else could have done this film than Jerry Buono would have. If it was a Steven Spielberg film, it would have been a bit too light. If it was, a Gore Verbinski film, a bit too swashbuckling. If it was, a Tom McCarthy film, it would be much more grounded. But the thing is that it is grounded in realism. But the reason why a lot of critics have said it's grounded in realism, but a lot of people have said the reason why. And I think the reason why it's so realistic because it is a story that anybody can relate to. Like for me, I've had my experiences with death.
Yeah.
Overall, and for me, I was in floods of tears at the end of the film because I know the ending is incredibly inevitable and it is very inevitable, but I think it's incredibly emotional because it's one of those things that you feel. You just feel like you feel like someone has experienced this before, and everyone feels like has a Lewis McDougall as well. I think for me, the 12A, it says it's moderate threat and scenes of emotional distress. Well, I mean, scenes of emotional distress is only skimming the surface overall. Yeah. It is only skimming the surface because it is really it very emotional. I think if you are thinking of taking a kid serious or buying on DVD for your kids, maybe when this film comes out, definitely it's mostly if you're 6 or 7 or 8. I think if you're 3 or 4 or 5, it'll be 2. I think it'll be really hardcore because it is really hardcore stuff. I mean, even I'm like 17 years old.
Yeah, for me it felt a little bit more for the adults, but I think anyone who's had any experience with death, and people will do in their lives, it's inevitable. I think it's just it's a film that everyone will relate to at some point.
It deals with its head on. Also, in addition, I think Liam Neeson is he really is enjoying himself. I think he was absolutely fantastic in this film, and I think he does have that real Colin O'Malley. It's a bit. I mean, people have made jokes. Liam Neeson, and he will find you, and he will kill you. I mean, everyone's made the Taken joke, obviously. Yeah. But I think one of the facts is my only problem with Liam Neeson's performance is that when we get to when he starts narrating the stories, he sounds a bit like there once was a kingdom in the mighty land, and then when it tries to get to a bit dark, it's like he says, "Don't be afraid, because I am this." And it's like. It's a bit like, okay, Liam, now just step back a bit.
I think for me the voice was kind of the obvious choice, but also the correct one.
Yeah,
so I don't think it could have been anything else.
I think
but
he is.
The one thing is, I think it is a little bit one note. So when he tries to, lighten things up a bit every now and then, it doesn't quite work in the same way as his, gruff, growling, menacing voice.
But I think that's the point, because the point is he is like this magical creature, and it is enchanting. I mean, I was really moved by it. I thought as well. I think maybe at the end it gets a bit too tearjerk. It tries to squeeze out the emotion at the end.
Yeah.
But the fact is, the fact is, you will cry in this film. I mean, you have to be like. I mean, Loach says you have to be really cynical. You have to be so hardcore, really no emotion to not cry in this film, because it is incredibly moving, incredibly powerful, and I really hope it gets recognised at the Oscars this year, because I'm really worried that it doesn't get recognised, because I think this is a film that, although people said 3 stars, it's very hard to find a criticism of this film because it's so honest.
Yeah, I think what it's going for, it achieves, and when a film does that, you can't really find many criticisms.
Overall, I thought it was really wonderful. I think if I did ratings, I'm going to give it 4.5. I think it's not much, but I think it is one of those films that I know we said this about The Revenant, and we completely raved about Revenant. We said, oh my god, it's the best thing ever, and I said it'd be a classic, but now it's kind of been forgotten. I think this will be a classic. I know that's me going long far, but I think because of what it's got behind it, and because of the powerful story in it, it will be a film that I will maybe if I have a family maybe, and I'll say and I think it's one of the things that if somebody's in their troubled times, someone's dealing with someone with cancer or death, you can put this film on and you can know, you know what, there is a bit of hope in the end. Yeah. And everything's going to be alright. I know. Yeah. On Wittertainment, on Mark Kerman, he says everything's going to be all right, but it is kind of has that thing. It's like everything's going to be okay because we are accepting death, and I think that is the really powerful emotion. I'm getting a bit teared up now. I think really wonderful, really moving.
I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5, I reckon, because I wouldn't say I'm completely taken with it, but I think it is a really great film. It is really wonderful. Honest, really genuine, and just a great adaptation of a good book.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, we've kind of covered everything overall. So I mean, also in addition, last thing, Sigourney Weaver. Didn't know she could do a good British accent.
Yeah, she managed to do it.
Yeah, good British accent for Sigourney Weaver. But yeah, that was the review for the absolutely wonderful Monster Crossing. Go and buy on DVD and go and see in the cinema.
Okay, now we're going to talk about Passengers, the new film with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence in it. Theo's going to be talking about it. I haven't seen it, so I'm interested to see what he thinks.
Passengers, the new Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence film. It is basic in... I mean, you're going to really think of 2 very different actors coming together to do a sci-fi space film. And I mean, I was really interested by this film. I remember, the hype has been about, the sex scenes and stuff like that with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. I mean, there's been a lot of media with that story. But anyway, so the story of this really, really interesting tale of Passengers. The story is basically, there's this starship, the Starship Avalon, and it's migrating people from Earth to go to this new home planet called in the very wonderful title of Homestead 2. Very much, it's like Unobtainium. It's Homestead 2. It's very good naming there. Yeah. So the Star Trek is incredibly imaginative it is. But I think the fact is, Osiris is taking passengers in the title to a new planet to basically start a new colony. Yeah. And strange enough, as the film kind of kicks off, after some strange malfunction, I'm trying not to give away a lot of this plot. After some malfunction, Chris Pratt wakes up and he suddenly realises he is 90 years early from waking up. And so what happens then, he has to find someone else to wake up, because he's stuck on the ship forever, and he's literally got no chance. He can't go back to hibernation. He tries everything, and so what he happens, he needs a companion. So what does he do? He wakes up Jennifer Lawrence, and then as over the course of the drama, we see Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt falling in love. Aww, really, really cute. So I went into this kind of thinking, this may be something quite interesting, but maybe quite interesting film, because yes, it's got Jennifer Lawrence, it's got Chris Pratt, but the fact is, it's directed by Morten Tyldum. And then Morten Tyldum did The Invitation Game about now,
I quite like that film.
Now, yeah, it was a really good film. With Benedict Cumberbatch, great portrayal, and it got directed.
I think it's quite underrated as well. Back when it came out, it was sort of overshadowed by other big films.
But the fact is, that was the film. It was The Imitation Game. It came out that year, and More Than Children was directed this film. And so for me, I'm thinking to myself like, so strange enough, More Than Children has now gone from a really great film. He's now going to do a big sci-fi blockbuster film.
Yeah.
Passengers with 2 big Hollywood stars, and so More Than Children is in this film, and so what is the subject? Well, I do admit the visual effects are very good in this film. They're not extraordinary like Rogue or something like that, but the visual effects are very good in this film. I think for me, they remind me a lot of the. Do you remember Elysium, the Neil Blomkamp film?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it kind of had that very that metal, kind of dark, shadowy look of the spaceship Elysium, and kind of the sets, and also kind of the real style of the background, or the location. So it very reminded me of the Blomkamp film Elysium in a way, and they are very, very good. I mean, the story is very inevitable. I mean, two people fall in love. The starship, a whole ship is basically falling apart. What does this film remind you of?
Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no one go about this. I mean, it is Titanic in space. I mean, sorry if everyone's already said this already, but the fact is, it is Titanic in space. I mean, to a point where you get to the end of the film, and all of a sudden something happens at the end of the film, and it's literally, you can literally hear the "Every night in my dream." You can it's like all of a sudden, and it's like you can literally hear Titanic just like started to seep through, and James Cameron, obviously, James Cameron must have gone, it must be a great film now, so I'm going to write something in there. And everyone went, this is a good film. Wait a second, this Titanic in space? Oh, I mean, in a way, it is a bit Titanic in space.
So it sort of takes a bit of a different turn.
I mean, the stories, it is basically 2 people fall in love, but basically, there is no way to go for it. It is Titanic. There's no way, that is a very harsh, it's a very comparison to it.
Just one little thing, I haven't seen it obviously, but with the trailers I had no idea what they were going for. I didn't know because each trailer sort of took on a different genre, so I didn't know whether or not it was a romance, I didn't know whether or not it was like a sci-fi action, a mystery, a horror film. What was it? I didn't understand at all. That's why I didn't go and see it.
I think that's the enjoyment of this film, because it does try to take a lot of genres. So for example, we have a bit of, at the start of the film, we have a bit of, it's a bit of drama, but it's basically Chris Pratt on a spaceship.
Yeah.
In a way, you can compare it to the Doctor Who episode Heaven Sent, in a way, because that was the Doctor on his own in his castle. Solo. And in a way, it is that style of film. And also, in addition, you have Michael Sheen, who's basically this barman in this film. He is just fantastic in the movie. I mean, he just brings a lot of, real charm to the role. I mean, for example, like he says halfway through, he says, "Oh, look, a very nice lady you have there. Wonderful choice." It's like, it is very strange in the fact.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I find very weird, all of the critics have kind of all gone, this film, it's really wrong how they take the portrayal. Because basically, in a way, it's basically Chris Pratt has taken someone's life away. In the fact that, they've woken them up and now they can't live together. And I think everyone's kind of gone like, this is really wrong in so much. But the fact
does seem a little odd.
But that's the thing.
But
the thing is, the fact that the film's going, the film doesn't really care about the philosophical meanings of this idea. It's basically gone. Yeah. It's just very pulpy. It's very much, it's very stripped down,
Do you think it would have been a more interesting film if they did explore that aspect of their relationship?
If you want Alejandro and Gonzalez Iñárritu, it could have gone a bit Revenant-y with it, and the tree is this and the humans. It could have got a bit too philosophical, but that could be also another interesting film.
I guess it's either all out, blockbustery,
but
kind of. Is it a bit of a popcorn movie?
Yes, but the fact is, the main reason why everyone's there, and I don't care, I saw this on the day it came out, and it was packed. This was the last day of school or something, and of the school term.
Yeah.
It was absolutely packed, the cinema was, and the main reason was, it's basically Chris Pratt, Jennifer Lawrence, getting it on. That's the whole, I'm sorry, that is basically what it's going for.
They sold the film.
But the fact is, and the fact that I think we started with Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is playing he's playing very much, the character from Jurassic World. It's very much, like the jolly character, the heroic character. And then, I'm sorry, it's Jennifer Lawrence playing Jennifer Lawrence. It is the Jennifer Lawrence you know, one day she sounds like this the whole time in the movie, and you know, I mean, once again, I died in Hunger Games, but then halfway through, I would then kill something, I would kick something, because you raised to remind me, I'm from the Hunger Games. It's like, and then, I mean, the first time we meet her, she's sitting there going, you know, people tell me stories. I mean, it's like she's playing herself, because in real life she also misses, she's kind of a drunk actor. Actually, in this film, she's a drunk journalist. I mean, it's Jennifer Lawrence playing Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, I know we said we had one sex scene. It's like there's like 5 sex scenes in the film.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are very, you know, they aren't full on, but they are very much, you know, like pulp in a way, you know, but like great, like good to watch for people who want to go see it, because they were teenage, like, I mean, there were teenage boys, teenage girls, and all this. I mean, I'm not joking. There were people there. I mean, the
main attraction.
I mean, the whole thing. It was one of those things, like at the whole end of the film where it all gets a bit Titanic, and everyone's going, "Oh no!" and I was going, "This is just a silly." I mean, it is completely ludicrous. It's absolutely stupid on its own, but it's very enjoyable because you enjoy the characters. You kind of enjoy the story in a way, and I think I enjoyed it. It's not 2 stars. It's not a rubbish film. There are problems with it. I mean, for example, all those comparisons, at times it does get a bit, you know, bogged down in its own philosophical ideas. But the fact is that it's basically you pay £7 for what you're going to get, and you get what you get back. You get Jennifer Lawrence.
Would you say it's the sort of film you'd probably switch your brain off for?
You
sit back and relax.
Yeah, it is one of the films where you can sit back and relax. And I mean, one thing I do was, I was like, Morton Tilden, what are you doing? What are you? It's like
it's weird that he has gone from the Imitation
Game, and he's now doing a film with 2 people having. I mean, it is basically what you're going to get. You do get Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence having sex in the film.
That's what it says.
It is basically what it says on the tin in a way, and I mean, it is utterly stupid. I mean, the whole plot is really just complete stupid, but it is very enjoyable. And if you like a popcorn film, you'll be fine with it. It's not memorable. It might be forgotten after a few hours, but you know what? It does what it does well, and it's a very good popcorn movie. I'm gonna give it 2.5, halfway. It's halfway, so 2.5, and that is the review for Passengers. The new Passengers. It's Chris Pratt. It's Jennifer Lawrence.
So, to round off this episode of Fortnight in Film, the New Year edition of Fortnight in Film, we're just going to look back on 2016, have a look at all the different films, our favourite films. I'm going to do a few recommendations, and Theo's going to do his top 5.
I think because this is, you know, podcast, I mean, more people will see that right now in front of me is a bunch of cinema tickets of all the films I've seen this year, and there are quite a bit of films this year. Yeah. So, if you do your recommendations.
I'll do my recommendations first. So, I don't think I've seen as many films as Theo this year, which is fair enough. He's seen a lot of films.
Boom, mate, and what?
So, I'm just going to... I think I've watched more TV, if I'm honest. So, I'm just going to do a few recommendations. I've got 4 in total. And the first, I'm sure you're probably sick of hearing about. It was the TV show of the summer. It was on Netflix. And it was Stranger Things.
Oh, for God's sake!
It was one of my favourite TV shows I've ever seen. I'm like, the hype is so high, and it'd probably be a disappointment if you haven't seen it already.
Oh, no.
But
I don't have Netflix.
I don't have
Netflix.
I've got 2 Netflix recommendations. So,
thanks a lot. I don't have Netflix, so
Amazon
Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime and chill.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so Stranger Things. Don't
spoil it.
No, I'm not. No, in no way. These are just quick little snippets of everything. It's a brilliant homage to, you know, writers like Stephen King, Spielberg. It's really 80s inspired. You've got that soundtrack really 80s inspired, and it gets better every episode. So I started off really skeptical of it. I thought it was just sort of so wooden, and it just seemed gimmicky, right? And as time went on throughout the series, you really get to know the actors. The acting gets better as well throughout, I think.
Yeah.
And the story, like, at the end of each episode, a new bit of, you know, the story is unveiled. There's twists and turns everywhere. It's such a well-made... It's like watching an 8-hour film, and every hour of that feels like so justified, and it just feels so good to watch and connect with the characters. You get a little bit scared. You get a bit of adventure. You get a bit of action. You get mystery. It's just a really good hodgepodge of genres and a really good homage to the 80s, whilst injecting new life into it.
Wonderful.
And then my second recommendation, another Netflix recommendation. So this TV show's been around for a while. It was on Channel 4 for quite some time. There's been, I think it's 2 series beforehand, maybe 3.
Number 2.
And that is Black Mirror, the show by Charlie Brooker, satirist who usually does the 2016 Wipe, if you've seen that recently. And he basically, when I first watched the first series, I thought it was going to be a comedy, because this guy's fairly funny.
Black Mirror. And
Black Mirror is so, like, it's got some dark comedy in there, but it's mostly just really horrible. And it's all about... It's all about technology and.
But it's a bit like Pulp Fiction, way. Like it's too you feel guilty to laugh at it.
Yeah,
but it's quite black.
Yeah,
I've not seen it, but I think we're trying to first.
Yeah. So it's kind of an anthology show. So it shows different characters in each episode, different stories, different plot lines, and it's all about. Basically, the one theme is that it's all about technology in the near future. So. And with this latest series, because it's on Netflix now, it's got a big budget, it's really going out there with the ideas now. It's the best series yet, because the themes portrayed in it are so close to where we are now that it's even more terrifying to watch. And it's just so, I don't know, it just really hits a chord with, I think, the whole of 2016. I think it just sums everything up.
Some like all the political,
the political mess and everything. It's just so... Yeah, and the internet, and it just really
encapsulates it all together.
Yeah, encapsulates it. So I'd really recommend that. I wouldn't recommend watching them all at once, because you may probably just feel so horrible the next day and so weirded out.
You need to clean yourself off.
Yeah, it makes you feel very paranoid about everything. So yeah, I'd recommend watching one episode at a time. But yeah. Very good series. So if you've got Netflix, Stranger Things, Black Mirror, probably seen Stranger Things.
Number 3.
So I talked about this film earlier on in the year. It's a debut from director Robert Eggers. It's a horror film, The Witch.
I've heard a lot about it.
It's a very slow burn horror film, but it really pays off. It creates atmosphere, and it's an incredible film from somebody who hasn't
done a film before.
Made a film before, yeah. And so, like Stranger Things, it pays homage. It pays homage to. One of my favourite horror films, The Shining.
Oh yeah, I've seen Shining.
If you've seen The Babadook, I'm sure you'll like The Witch.
Yeah.
It's sort of
atmospheric.
It's slow burn, atmospheric, and it doesn't resort to usual horror tropes. Yeah,
definitely.
And so this final film I saw relatively recently, and it is really, really good. It's very honest. It's refreshing. It's genuine, and it's really emotional, and it's the new Ken Loach film. It won the Palme d'Or.
Really? What, have you seen that?
Yeah, I, Daniel Blake.
Oh, I never. I haven't heard about it, so I want to make what you think about this. I, Daniel Blake.
This film is very good. It's a film all about a man who's declared fit to work by the benefits agency, whereas the doctors don't actually think he is fit to work because he's had an accident at work.
Where did you see this?
I saw it at Brixton.
Oh wow!
Picture House.
Wow.
And so yeah, he's declared fit to work, and despite not really being able to work, so he decides to go and claim benefits, and it's all about just the incredibly bureaucratic systems that almost seem like they're against you.
It is very much. I've heard a lot about it. It's very much people saying it's of most of these kind of Loach's opinion. Yeah. A lot of people talked about this food bank scene everyone's going on about.
Yes, there is a very powerful food bank scene with one of the other characters that Daniel Blake meets on his journey, and it's just so. It's a very political film. But I think it...
Too political.
No, it's not too political. It's rightfully political, I think. And I think even though it is definitely from, Ken Loach's viewpoint, and it's a very, very angry film in that sense, I think it reaches out to people from all sides of the political spectrum, and because it's also a very human film. So you can, even if you don't agree with what Ken Loach says, you can still connect with it.
Yeah.
And I think it is all about putting a viewpoint across, one that I agree with, but if you don't, it's still worth watching to see what other people think.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I think it's one of the most culturally important films of the last few years. I think it sums up the political climate for a lot of people, and it's done very well.
It kind of refers to the EU referendum debate. We're not going like all question time here, but in a way you can kind of see there's a lot of kind of angst about it because it is a bit of a battle. But I think in a way that is very Ken Loachian because he did start.
He's very political director.
He did.
I think.
The weird thing is he started off with films like Kes, which was like very. I haven't seen these films, but I do a lot of research. To be honest.
Yeah.
He started from like Kes about a bird. Then he starts, and he gets a bit more political. And he did a film recently. It's called it's Irish. So I've got the name of it, but it was about like an Irish Afghanistan war, I think, in Iraq, and it debuted in Cannes in 2010. Yeah. And so he is very much a political director, and it is great to see someone like who's still at the top of his game in the age of like 86, and he's still like he's never played a blockbuster.
Well, I think he's a very humble filmmaker. It's similar to Spotlight last year.
Yeah, very honest.
Yeah, it's not about him at all. It's not about style.
It's about the characters.
It's about the message that he wants to put across, and it's about the characters. Okay. So Daniel Blake, massive recommendation. The Witch, another massive, great horror film. Black Mirror, great TV series. Netflix, Stranger Things, Netflix. Those are my 2016 recommendations. If you haven't seen them already, I hope you enjoy them in 2017.
Okay, so now we're going to do the my recommendations of the year, but mostly kind of do a bit of highlights here. So I have seen a lot of films this year. I think I've seen more films than anybody else this year. I mean, if you look back at this year, we started off with Spotlight and The Revenant, which are both very good Oscar-worthy films.
Yeah.
Then we continued with, and then we had Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which
Hail Caesar as well.
No,
slightly forgettable.
Slightly forgettable, very funny, but I think Fargo is the better film there. But the fact is that with Batman v Superman, everyone didn't like it, and it kind of shows like the blockbuster promise because it hasn't been a good blockbuster in a way. Because, for example, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, I thought it was fine. I haven't bought DVD since because I'm not going to waste my money on it, but. It's fine. It's not. There are problems with the film, I said, but it is fine. It's okay. It does what it does. I don't know what the problem was about it, to be honest, but I mean, everyone does have a problem with it. Then we had The Jungle Book, which I saw after I saw. I really wanted to review it after I came out of it because I thought it was really enjoyable. Bill Murray doing the Bill Murray. It was fantastic CGI, excellent stuff, and it was a really good adaptation of something that I thought was going to be really worrying because when it kind of was announced, Jungle Book, I thought it was going to be forgettable. Then it got good reviews, and then I saw it, and I thought, you know what, it wasn't actually that bad as I thought it was going to be. Yeah. And then after there was Money Monster, which was a really good Jodie Foster pick, very interesting George Clooney film, good thriller, plays his own hands near the end, and I do recommend Money Monster because that was terrific. Kind of Jack O'Connell, big ass there. Me Before You, I saw that was the Emilia Clarke film, which I was really interested in because I'm a huge fan of Emilia Clarke. I love like Game of Thrones and everything like that, and she has a bit of kind of like crap stuff anyway. But the fact is that it's a really interesting romance film. It does get a bit too mainstream with Ed Sheeran music in it, but overall really good.
A bit full
Nostalgia because it is a bit full nostalgia. I mean, at the end it is incredibly wet at the end. I mean, I know it's wrong, but it is really incredibly wet by the end of the film. And then we had and then after I saw Independence Day Resurgence, which was this I describe Independence Day Resurgence. You're in there for 2 hours and you feel every minute of 2 hours. I did feel so tired after that film. Yeah. And I don't know why, because I want to come out of a Roland film feeling a bit light on my feet with some of that film. I did have a real... And then after I saw... I do have a lot of... I did see it.
We saw Ghostbusters.
We saw Ghostbusters together, which
was the most mediocre film, the most meh film of the year.
Yeah, it
was so in the middle, so lukewarm. I have no idea what it was. It was a waste of money.
Yeah, it was a real waste. But the fact is, there was one really good gag in it. And
I think there were a few decent jokes. It was funnier than the trailer.
Yeah.
But it wasn't funny enough to warrant me paying $8.50 to see it.
Yeah, it was $7.50.
Maybe $7.50.
But the problem is for me is that as the film kind of drags on, it then gets a bit more studio-esque.
Yeah.
And then we had Suicide Squad. Oh my lord! I didn't come out of the film feeling like annoyed. I came out feeling frustrated because of just like what a waste of opportunity. I read stuff that David Ayer was shouting at the crew. I really was a bit like, what are you doing? Like it was. the editing was messy. The plot was like hanging by a thread. The acting, the Joker. What happened with the Joker? I mean, it was. I just have to say it was. This is a really big statement here.
Yeah.
Batman and Superman is better than Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I will fight anybody on that. I mean, I really will, because Suicide Squad, there was stuff, Cara Delevingne, I mean, wham, with the donut in that. I mean, there was stuff with the joke.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but I avoided it
the joke did not hit. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So I had 3 real stinkers of the film.
Would you say that's probably the worst you've seen?
No, I mean, it's not the worst. There was stuff in it, but if I had to say my worst thing I saw, I would say Suicide Squad, because I mean, what on earth happened with that? And then we get into and then after I saw the BFG, which was a real thank God, because BFG was fantastic. I mean, it was a great, really good film. It's a bit forgettable now because people have kind of really forgot about it. But Ruby Barnhill was fantastic. Mark Rylance is great in the film. Lovely animation, lovely visual effects in it. Really, and it really just kind of brings back the Roald Dahl of the book. And there's some really funny scenes. I mean, the farting dogs in the Buckingham Palace, real highlight for me in that film. And so I think that was most of what I saw in the summer. Then I saw Sausage Party.
Oh, yeah.
Sausage Party.
How was that?
It was okay. It was funny, but not funny enough. I mean, it was funny, but there was. I mean, at the end, it just gets so. I apologise for my language here. It gets so fucked up by the end.
Yeah.
That I couldn't believe what happened. I mean, it's basically what happens if you get sausage and sex. If you get food and sex, it's basically what happens. And there are some good jokes. I mean, there are stuff which are really wrong. There are some really wrong. I think
it is trying to be as
it's trying to be controversial as possible. But there's a scene with, I'm not going to say because there was some really wrong stuff in there. But it was funny and it was outrageous, and that's what you get with Seth Rogen and stuff.
Yeah.
Then we move on to the autumn. I saw the soon Tim Burton, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which was not bad at all. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Not as peculiar.
I've heard it was fairly predictable.
Yeah,
Is that
have
true?
you seen it? Have you seen?
No, I haven't.
Oh
seen
yeah,
it,
you've seen it. And then we have that. So that was very interesting. And I kind of also I thought that was it was peculiar. And I think that's my problem, because Tim Burton, he's always weird. With Charlie and Chocolate Factory, that opening sequence was really weird. Like the stuff with the camera moving forward, and you see these really these strange machines make all the chocolate, and it's a chocolate factory. But Tim Burton just cranks up the weirdness.
Just one thing about Tim Burton, I think I'm not a massive fan of him. I'm not totally into his style, but I think one thing you could merit him on is you can pause any frame in his film and you can immediately tell it's Tim Burton just by how it looks.
Yeah, I think that was my. There was a moment I think is it Tim Burton? There are some Tim Burton stuff in it. But it's not Tim Burton.
Is it
enough.
Missing that?
It's missing that Tim Burtonness for me. And then I'm trying to lose because I do have my top 5 there. And then I saw I saw Go on the Train afterwards with my family. I mean, I took my mum to see it. I took my brothers, Oscar and Henry. Yeah. Because we all went to see Go on the Train. I've read the book over the summer. I really liked the book, but the ending was a bit like. The ending was a bit no. It was no. What? But I have to admit, the Go on Train, everyone, I saw the reviews came out and everyone thought, it's rubbish. And I was like, really? And I came out and I thought, I really enjoyed it. It was completely stupid. It was really strange. But I thoroughly enjoyed it for its real cranked upness at the end. Because at the end, it does really it gets a bit Gone Girl-ish by the end.
Yeah.
And I think it reminded me a lot of Sam Mendes from American Beauty, because I had American Beauty. If you look closer, if you look closer, you find something there. So that was really interesting with American Beauty, with We Go on the Train, and then finally, just to put something out there, I then also saw the much hyped film The Birth of a Nation, which was allegedly Birth of a Nation was this really high. Do you remember about this in Sundance, January? Birth of a Nation. It was so hyped up. I was like, right, need to go and see this. I saw it. And it was just incredibly ordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people said this. I mean, it is not that much extraordinary film. It's really ordinary. There's some really powerful stuff in there, but it's not enough to merit 12 Years a Slave, because 12 Years a Slave is a far better film than this. So yeah, those are most of my highlights of 2016. I think I've rushed through about 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Yeah. Those are my highlights of 2016. And now I'm going to do my top 5 films. I'm going to do my top 5 films of 2016. So, before we get into my top 5 films of the year, I have to say there was one film that was in there, but it was taken out afterwards, and that film was Nocturnal Animals, which you recommended to me, the Tom Ford directed film, and I thought it was one of the most strange experiences I ever had in the cinema. People know the story of Nocturnal Animals. It's basically like a book. Amy Adams' character gets this book, and basically she starts the story slowly being unfolded on screen like visually.
Yeah.
And in a way, slowly like the worlds kind of mesh in with each other.
It's kind of hard to tell.
It's
the
a very
difference
I mean, I think the problem is when it started off. I thought when it started off, I thought it was going to be like Tom Ford, because he feels like a fashion advertisement. It was like a fashion director.
Yeah.
And immediately it looked like a Gucci advert, because you saw like the lovely spanky tables and Amy Adams looking like she's just had too much makeup on.
Yeah.
And it looked real like gothic, like a little bit like Neon Demon. If you know what I mean. And so, but however, I really I liked it a lot. I don't think I'm going to buy on DVD, because I mean it's really like, it's very hard to watch. There's some really hard scenes in it. I mean, the scene there's a scene about where these people have driven off the road, which is one of the most really hardest things I've had to watch this year.
Yeah.
But it didn't make it into my top 5. And here we go. So the top 5 films here. At number 5, I put 2 blockbuster films at number 5. Strange stuff, Emma says it's not been a good year for blockbusters, but I put at number 5, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and Doctor Strange. The reason I put these two at number 5, because Fantastic Beasts, they were both really enjoyable films. In the way of Fantastic Beasts, interesting enough, I thought I was really worried for Fantastic Beasts, because I thought this could really mess up. It's really cock up badly. But the fact is, it was really, really enjoyable. I mean, I saw my brothers Oscar and Henry. We went to see it on the opening weekend, and we all came out. We thought, wow, that was actually better than we expected.
Yeah.
And there are problems. I think the climax is a bit unsatisfactory, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Eddie Redmayne is fantastic. I am another problem is that I think it ties up too well for it to make a sequel, so I'm going to see how interesting it's going to be, see if they can move it on. And then Doctor Strange as well. Doctor Strange was... You saw Doctor Strange, you can maybe put a comment in. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would go back and see it again. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch's fantastic. The visual effects were just really mind-bending. I mean, the scene with... the scene when Doctor Strange does this really psychic trip through these worlds?
Yeah, it was amazing.
It reminded me a lot of... I think some people said Doug Trumbull 2001. Film critic, a film critic has referred it to Ken Russell's The Devils.
Yeah.
Someone has referred it to maybe a couple of The Matrix in a bit, and you can see all that in this film. But it's one of those films that I feel like I think you said this. We had a chat with this afterwards.
Yeah.
When on the way here to record this Fortnight film, you said it has its own style, and I agree with that. It has its own. I mean, visual
we were
style.
talking about compared to Civil War, which I saw, and Civil War is so and all the other Avengers films.
It's like a costume party.
Decent. They're decent films, but they just don't have any personal style. And with Doctor Strange, it has its own thing going.
Same
for
as
it.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Same with Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think Marvel films that have their own direction and vision, they tend to do better. And so
I think, and the fact is, I really hope they make another sequel, because I would love to see another sequel, because I think I would love to see more, more crazy stuff, because I think there are some really, and I think as well, the magic as well, really thoroughly enjoyable. I couldn't put these two films out, because I did thoroughly enjoy them. At number 4, and before, and this film was knocked out. At number 4, I think it's the best animation film of the year. It's not Finding Dory. It's not Zootropolis. It is, in fact, Moana. I saw this at 9:15 in the morning on bank holiday Tuesday, and I sat down, and I saw it, and no one was in the cinema. It was just me on my own, and I have to say, I've thoroughly enjoyed the company of these characters. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I mean, really wonderful. I thought the songs were just really catchy. I mean, You're Welcome with Dwayne Johnson is just...
I've been hearing my brother sing that through the hallway.
Yeah, what can I say except You're Welcome? Yeah, fantastic song. Also, I forgot his Let Go Me From the Sea. Ellie Cravaglia, I've not said that name properly, but who plays as Moana, is just fantastic. I hope she has more in her later on, a good career, because she is fantastic. She's really excellent, and I thoroughly enjoyed her in this film. Also, I thought the animation, the ocean's kind of this mystical being, and really, it was just fantastic to see animation like this, like together, and it was directed by the two people who did Little Mermaid as well, I thought they really encompassed this beautiful, this just really gorgeous animation. I mean, for me, I would see it again and again. I think it's better than Frozen. I think it has much more clarity. It's much more of a much more powerful story than Frozen. Because Frozen, also, because the thing with Frozen, it only had like one age. It's basically like Princess. This had much more kind of like a much more family kind of friendly thing. Because the problem with Frozen was kind of aimed more at like young kids, but this one is really kind of broadened. And also, it's really seen in literature. There's a moment where Moana starts saying, "There is hope," and Dwayne Johnson's character goes, "Please don't sing a song, please don't sing a song," and it's like, thank God,
it's self-aware.
It's self-aware itself, and that's excellent for Disney because Disney rarely do this. But however, it's self-aware, really wonderful, great animation, and I do thoroughly recommend it for all the family. At number 3, now this was a film that nobody really saw, but I saw this because of a 5-star review I saw in The Empire. And this was The Girl with All the Gifts. This was the zombie thriller film starring Gemma Arterton, Senni Nanua, and Paddy Considine, and Glenn Close. I haven't seen her in ages, and she's back on screen, which I thought was fantastic anyway. This film, I don't think it's come out of America yet, but I do have to admit, I really, really like this film a lot. I think it's cost about £5 million pounds or $5 million, something like that. It cost really not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, some of the visual effects remind me a lot of The Walking Dead. And I was like, if this is the bar of low budget films, and the bar has been set really high. The fact is, it was absolutely fantastic. See, it was not about the zombies; it was more about the characters.
It's quite a different take.
And there's a really there's this real surreal ending where there's just this beautiful spectacle, and I thought it was really and I thought it was really enjoyable. I really loved it. Came out. I thought the score was incredibly haunting. Cristobal Del Vampire. I was not sure if I said that right as well. And who did the score for Humans, the TV show, which I have to admit I'm lost track of, and he did the score for that, and he does he's really like these real tribal marches. It's a really intense score. It's really creepy. It's a great horror film. Fantastic. I think it's not for everybody, but it does show you how good British cinema is at the moment, and it was funded by the BFI. And I really, really enjoy it. And I think Gemma Arterton was fantastic. One of her best roles she's done in such a long time. At number 2, and I have to admit, this was a film that came out and it was nominated for an Oscar. And I know I've raved about it for so much with Caleb Fear. It's Room. And I mean, I loved this film. I really, really, really loved this film. And the reason why was because it was so moving, and I cried in this film. I really cried. And it's basically, people may know the story of these two people trapped inside a room, and it's basically Jacob Tremblay does one of the best child acting performances I've ever seen. I mean, he is so good in this film. I mean, he should have got nominated for something at the Oscars last year. He really did, and he should have. But Brie Larson is so really powerful, really moving. I thought some of the scenes remind me a lot of Monster Calls in a way, because it's so life affirming and it's so uplifting. And the same, Monster Calls may not be uplifting, but still it does have kind of a uplifting way at the end of it, because it's in everything's going to be okay. But the fact is, with this film, it's so uplifting, so powerful. It will hit you with your tears. Great, Lenny Abramson, fantastic. He did a film called Frank. He did Adam.
I've seen Frank.
He did Adam and Paul. He did what Richard did. Fantastic. I mean, really great film, and I will watch it for such a long time. I did come out. I didn't see it in cinemas. I bought a DVD, and I tell you what, it was really well worth £15 for me. Thoroughly worth it, and definitely. And so the number 1 film of 2016 is Arrival. Which is Arrival. Now, I know people will think that this is a very easy one to go for, but the fact is, I saw this film and I saw the trailers and I saw it and I was really won over by it. I thought I really, 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 really loved it. I think what Denis Villeneuve did, he's done something with so much promise. I mean, you started off. I haven't seen On Sundays, but then he started with Prisoners, and Prisoners was a good thriller, a bit too long for my liking. Then he did Sicario, and Sicario was a really good commentary on the war on drugs with a great force, empty blood, and then he does this, which I think is his top masterpiece. I mean, Amy Adams is fantastic. Jeremy Renner is also great. They have great chemistry together. The visual effects are just absolutely stunning. I mean, it is one of those films where it raised the question of what would it be like. What would it be like if aliens actually came down to
Earth?
But
realistic.
Really realistic.
Really, what would it be
Really, like, why are they here? In fact,
yeah.
it's like, it's language. It's not like the aliens will go like, we're here to take your time. It's like, they just come here and they have they have to translate. It's a really good idea, and they pull it off with so much pizzazz and panache. It is really, really, it really is wonderful. I know I'm hyping it so much, but
it's number one film.
It is number one film, definitely, because the fact is that although all these films came out in the fall, that's not me saying that all the films this year were really good, because there were some really hard films. I was really tempted to put Money Monster somewhere in here.
Yeah.
But the fact is was that these films were really good, and the thing with Arrival is that it was one of those films that it has this. It was one of those films that it just had a great sci-fi element. I do admit it is one of the best sci-fi films that for such a long time, and it does bring a lot of promise for Blade Runner, and it has one of the best revelations you will ever. It's one of the best revelatory twists you will ever find in the film. I mean, it is real strap in your seat. Like, hold on, this is going to be a really bumpy ride. I mean, it really has a wonderful story to it. And also one thing as well for me, every time I thought about it, the story, it works, and it works it works so well. Yeah. It's a bit like source code. When you see source code, it works. Yeah. And it works like the idea. It flows. It flows. It's right. It works. There's no flaws about it. That same for Arrival. It just works. And it deals with like subjects like time and it's like time and loss and love, and it deals them in such a real snappy way with fantastic cinematography by Bradford Young. I forgot who the screenplay writer was. I think Eric Stoltz. I think I'm really sorry if I forget all these names. I'm not doing very well today with names, but it is really best film of the year. Check out when it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray, because I don't think it's in cinemas anymore. But yeah, that is Arrival. And that's the number one. That is my top 5 films of 2016.
So that was Fortnight in Film, our New Year special. We'll see you again in Easter, probably.
If you want to say, if by the way, a couple of, hopefully I think that time, but likely, for this month, basically look out for La La Land, Hacksaw Ridge, Moonlight, Power Rangers, Beauty and the Beast. We've got a really good year this year. Yeah. Including new Alien film. And yeah,
Blade Runner
2049, hopefully. Yeah, so it's going to be a really good year for 2017. Good start.
We'll see you in Easter.
And Happy New Year.